This is the LowcoSports Lowdown podcast. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr.
Hey, Loco sports fans and Loco Media Network viewers, if you've been with us all night, welcome back. I was just on with Under the Bus with Curry Kirkpatrick and Rich Basirico talking all things on the national sports scene, and now we bring it into a little more local focus. Wes Kerr and Justin Jarrett with you on Loco Sports Lowdown. We'll have Max Arraj joining us in a bit, around 10 o'clock or so, and we are hoping we have an invitation out to a couple of the stars of the big win last night for the Bluffton Bobcats girls volleyball team. So we're hoping that they'll be able to join us as well. You saw that one last night, Wes, and I watched the highlights that you provided a couple of times, put them on last night in the Loco. I also went and watched with one of my students at Hardyville, who's a volleyball player. We watched the highlights on Buford's Own, and holy cow, what a match. Just an incredible match.
Yeah, what a first one to get to this season. Terrific contest between a perennial strong squad in Hilton Head, but give credit to Bluffton. They showed up from the get-go last night. Tremendous crowd, a lot of students there to cheer on the Bobcats. But, yeah, fantastic atmosphere, and the Bobcats came ready to play from top to bottom, electric, hitting them, and they're finishing off opportunities early. The liberos and the digging was tremendous as well, especially by their senior veteran who did a spectacular job. So they have a really strong making to the team that's going to contend in this region. But give credit for Hilton for bouncing back to making it interesting, to forcing that fourth set to put to Bluffton on its toes a little bit. But the Bobcats came down, really stormed out of that fourth after kind of struggling in the prior set. So, yeah, it's an outstanding match. And you know, you kind of learn a bit about both teams. I think Bluffton looking like they're a potential contender in what should be a very interesting region. And don't count Hilton out despite that loss. If they're able to find things that click down the stretch, I think they could be even in the playoffs if they're able to sneak in. They're always a tough out. As I mentioned last night, Coach Stolajic, he's been here for a long time. I mean, he's been there for part of over 10 years now, coaching that team. So credit to him for what he's done. He won the state championships most recently in 2020. So yeah, he's continued to deliver a strong program that contends every year, despite reload. There's been more reload than rebuilding. They've had a couple of down years to their standard, but they're still always a tough squad to face when it gets to October, November into the playoffs. So I'm excited to see what happens now in this region. Tremendous win once again from Bluffton, and I shout out to Sarah Kate Halsey, who is beastly over there. Her libero role and picking up those dicks. I mean, you got to have that defensive standouts in the game of volleyball.
I mean, watching those highlights, I thought she was the star of the game. She was sacrificing her body and getting everything up. And I'm telling you, like against most opponents, Hilton Head would have scored kills on most of those swings, but she was just not letting anything hit the ground. And so I came with the same takeaway of like, look, Hilton Head's a good team. And without somebody willing to make the plays she made last night, they probably win that game. But I thought she was the difference. And I mean, their hitters were tremendous too. They put it down when they got a chance. So I got to get to a high level 4A volleyball game because just watching those highlights got my juices flowing.
We got a lot more. We got another one tomorrow, which will be at the Nest between the Seahawks and May Rivers. So that one should be fun. First look at the Sharks, see what they have this year. And then the big one I'm circling on the calendar is the 26th. So next week, Bluffton heading to May River, for which should be a tremendous showdown, which has implications. So definitely make sure to check that one out if you're able to put up on Thursday the 26th. So a little over a week away from what's always a great rivalry over there. But yeah, this region is interesting. It's shaping up to be a fun group of squads. But don't forget about Bishop England. They're 15-7 overall, 2-0 in region. So we talked about,
I think Bishop England is probably the favorite,
They might,
honestly.
yeah.
Until
Looking
somebody
through the
beats them.
results right now, in terms they've gotten a
They got
couple
May
of.
River 3-1
I'm not
last
sure how
night.
good they are, but they beat Indian Land, they beat South Point. Or, I mean, those are always good schools no matter the sport. Back in August in
No,
preseason
Bishop
tournament
England's
play.
strong. They beat Hilton Head and May River to start
Island,
region play, so
yeah.
they're kind of.
They beat James Island. They swept Hilton Head in straight sets. So yeah. Now looking at the scores for Bishop England so far, they look like the favorite. Although I would say May River is close, but maybe Bluffton if they're able to knock off the Sharks.
Yeah, I think.
And, yeah.
I think right now it's Bishop England Bluffton, just based on the fact that Bishop England's already beaten Hilton Head.
Yeah, they
and
beat May River as well.
May River.
Yep.
Yeah, they beat May River. So I think it's, we see when we see the first Bishop England Bluffton game, we'll have a better idea. But then, the second time around could go differently. But that's the one I want to see as far as how they measure up. But Bluffton May River is going to be a Donnybrook too.
Yeah, Bishop England, they're at Bishop England on the 24th. When's the return game? I don't see it on the schedule. If I'm on Max, I can't find the return because it's home and home. You play everybody away, and you play everybody home, but I don't see a home game against Bishop England.
Interesting.
So, unless it was earlier, which I don't think it was.
No, they haven't played yet.
Yeah, that's strange. All right. To keep an
eye
on that.
It's missing. You can usually find it if you look at where.
No, they are. I there was like a weird blank in the schedule. October 10th.
Oh, yeah.
October 10th.
Yeah. Yeah, so Bluffton finishes with Bishop England and May River at home, and those will probably both be really pivotal games down the stretch. So that's going to be fun. October 17th. Hopefully we get to talk a little more Bluffton volleyball with couple of the girls here tonight. Who'd you have lined up? Elizabeth Mullen and
Emma McCollum.
Emma McCollum.
Yes.
Do we know
so hopefully,
Emma McCollum, Reed McCollum relation? Do we know? I don't know. We're gonna have to ask the question. Any relation? It's not unheard of for kids to go to different schools because the situation is better.
Yeah,
it's a curious question.
It's a small area. I mean, sometimes you see siblings go to schools. It has happened before.
Well, we'll have to ask the question so we can get the answer, assuming we can get them in here. But I'll be honest, I've been out of pocket. I was teaching all day, and then I was coaching baseball this evening, and then I was on Under the Bus. So I really don't know what's going on today in the Loco. We talked about most of the stuff going on last night. There were a couple golf meets that we didn't get to, and maybe some more volleyball scores we were missing. Beaufort swept Colleton 3-0. Barnwell beat Hampton County 3-1. Bamberg swept McCain's 3-0. I guess that's. We had the other ones over May River, Bluffton over Hilton Head. So, and then, but on the golf course over at Cat Island, Hilton Head beat Beaufort by 6 shots, I think, in a really close match. And Hilton Head Prep beat John Paul II and Hilton Head Christian at someplace, Colleton River Nicholas course. So that's from last night.
Back in action tonight against they're at Savannah Country Day before the May River match.
Okay.
So a lot of
Kenneconroy.
Yeah, that's three matches in 3 days for the Seahawks. They were at Bluffton. They're at Savannah Country Day today, and actually it's they play Islands as well today. I think it's just Savannah Country Day, but then that's 3 matches in 3 days, including two region matches. So certainly something to these young ladies have a lot of energy, a lot of stamina. So I'm not worried. You could play 3 matches in 3 days. They do tournaments all the time. You play like 5-6 matches a weekend.
They play all weekend long. Yeah, they're not. There's not a lot of overuse danger.
It's one of those sports
a little bit with the overhand motion, but Oh no,
Yeah.
they're pretty well trained for it.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good. They're going through the grind right now. But Savannah Country Day, I always got to give Kenny Conroy a shout out. You shouted him out the other night when we mentioned him, and I got a text a couple days later and said, "Listen to your show. Appreciate the shout out. Always
Listen,
available for the inside scoop." So,
hey,
we'll have to
I
call on
love
Kenny sometime.
I loved covering his Hilton Christian girls teams. Those were he was a great guy to talk to, and always a class act, and I have a lot of memories with those teams over the years. So yeah, good to see Kenny Conroy doing well over in Savannah, and
Here's
certainly,
a piece of news that's not really from the Loco. It's not from the Loco, but it impacts the Loco this week because one of our football games this week's slate has been wiped off the board. Burke is going to have to forfeit to Ridgeland this week, which Ridgeland was probably going to win anyway. Burke is like stall, like, even if they show up, it's kind of a forfeit. But but they put up a fight last week because they got in a brawl with Hemingway. And there were some reports that both teams were being shut down for the season. Those were quickly shouted down, that's not true. And Burke said that they will return to action October 4th against Timberland. So it looks like Burke will have to forfeit at least their next one, maybe their next two. So, I would assume they have another game on the schedule.
So,
but
nice
maybe
bye
not.
Week for Ridgeland. You get an extra week off.
They get the bye week, extra week of practice. I don't know. You've lost 3 in a row. You'll take the forfeit, I guess, but you'd probably rather play the game and win it.
It would be a nice opportunity to win if that game was still been played, but tough for them. You want to get back in the win column. That's just that's my thoughts about that. But
yeah, no question. Well, that can't be right. Burke beat Hemingway. That really happened? I don't know. Can't trust the Max Preps, right? But regardless, apparently Burke is out of the picture this week. I got to get my charger, or my Mac will sleep soon unless plugged into a power outlet. But real quick, let's shout out the presenting sponsor of the LowcoSports Lowdown and our all-star sponsor, Mickelson Law Firm. They're our original sponsor, been with us since we launched this thing in 2017, and always proud to support grassroots local sports journalism. So thanks to Mickelson Law Firm, they can help you with all your legal needs. They're in downtown Bluffton. They are our official real estate closing attorney and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Christian Academy coverage. So thanks to Mickelson Law Firm. I was over at HHC tonight. Hello Waves practice over there. Jay Scarborough, the new head coach over there, is just phenomenal and has been really great about partnering, with the travel teams that his kids are playing for, the teams that are developing them in the off season and giving us the space. So we really appreciate that. And Mickelson, they've been a big part of the facilities happening over there at HHCA. So love it that they're allowing the sports community to benefit from that. Appreciate that. So thanks to Mickelson Law Firm. And what do you want to get into, Wes, here while we wait for the ladies?
We got into some volleyball already. We can we talked about the power rankings last night, but we kind of transitioning into this next week. Just a little comment about that. That was a fun exercise that we did, just to kind of get a glimpse of where teams are, where we think these teams are going to go. So that was nice that we're able to just go through that and talk with Max and the power rankings. But I just, in terms of overall takeaways from this season, May River is the team that has surprised me the most based on the expectation and what they have done through this year. Because I was not sold last season. The offense was still a work in progress. The defense kept them in some games, but they just weren't able to put it together like we're seeing this year. And I think the offensive line's taking a step up. The run game as well. And I'm just a really big fan of the coaching staff. And they kind of started last year, and now you're seeing the second year under their belt. It's really coming together like they're wanting it to. And I love the great to talk to Boatwin as well. I mean, the energy in that program is through the roof
That was
right now.
fun.
Number 4 in Class 4A, that is a tremendous accomplishment. Just because of how dominant or how strong 4A is and how difficult it is to obviously there are a lot of factors that determine the rankings. And as Bill said, rankings are not the only story. You want to be there at the end of the year. You want to be so
That's
playing
right.
the last 2 weeks, which kind of matters more than what you see in terms of in a mid-September poll. So, but May River has been really impressive, and it's been fun to see the rise so far of a team that was still trying to find its identity. Really, the last few years between the Ahmad Green era, I mean Garvin Douglas, you can add on. After that, the Sharks they had a couple of years where it's just they couldn't find the consistency in offense. They couldn't find that spark plug. They stuck to what they did well with the run game, but just they weren't able to find production there, and the passing game was not able to complement it on top of that. But now they've really molded the identity in a way that they're getting the most out of the run game, and the defense has really started to rise to the challenge against some quality opponents. And they're playing May River football. I mean, I think that was what Bonneville was trying to get back to playing May River football, like the May River football that we saw in the first 2 seasons of that program. And now it's back. And that's a great thing. And kind of going off of that, it's great to see both May River and Bluffton having really quality teams this year. I mean, that's a rivalry. It's a built-in rivalry in the same town, just a couple miles apart. That's what you love to see as a neutral observer, but also as fans of those teams. I mean, that's in the heyday of Hilton Head Bluffton when both of those teams there were years where Hilton Head was not great and Bluffton was a state contender.
Right.
There were also years where both of those teams were, right there in terms of competitive level, and we had some tremendous teams, in the 2000s and also in the 2010s as well. Hilton Head had a couple of good years with Payne, but it's just great to see the rise of Bluffton with Coach Gregory, and that has been a home run, as I've said before, in every sense of the way for the Bobcats. And I had good feelings when they hired him. It has been obviously there have been some moments where the missed opportunities arose, but for the most part, where you see where Bluffton has come in just a few seasons, you have to be really excited about what he can do going forward. And with this team, I still think there's some terrific potential with the way that offense can play. And now can they respond after a kind of a mini letdown against Hampton County? Although it's a good Hampton County team, but yeah, I mean you have 2 very strong 4A teams in Bluffton and a good one on the island as well. But I just it just sets up well for a very fun region slate and an unpredictable one. Like there are years where this team is going to be the clear favorite.
Yeah,
there is a clear favorite right now in this region. There really is.
Yeah, there have been years where you could literally sit down and write out the results of the whole region schedule with a pretty high degree of confidence. Like this is the best team. This one will beat all but that one. This one won't beat anybody. This one will only beat that one. And you could get it right most of the time. But it's certainly, I think that's a testament to the depth that is growing, and that comes with population. I mean, when we talk about the population centers, the schools that we can't hang with when we get to the lower state or state level, it's always the Charlestons, the Columbias, the Greenvilles, the places where there's just more people. So there are, by definition, more high level athletes, and that's starting to happen here. Like Javon said here, May River's close to being the first 5A school in Beaufort County. And, I think there's some possibility that the county takes that into their own hands and keeps them a 4A school or gets them back to 4A as soon as possible after they cross that threshold. Because there's land in Okatee for another high school, and that is inevitable. And that'll siphon some from May River. Because that, like you said, Javon, that growth in the New Riverside area is unreal, and it's coming to Hardyville next with the exit 3 in the port. So our population is going to balloon out there too. And there's going to be more depth of athletes. Just it comes with the territory of more people coming in. No, you're right. It's especially when the schools first split, when Bluffton first split from Hilton Head, there was an imbalance and there wasn't enough to go around. And same thing when May River and Bluffton split, there was an imbalance and there wasn't enough to go around, and it shifted back and forth. And now we're to a point where it's like we have two very distinct programs too in May River and Bluffton in kind of their philosophy, their mentality. And we're seeing people kind of be able to opt into the one that makes the most sense for them early on, which I like. I like the idea of the school choice if you do it early, and like I like people to be where they're happy and where they can be their best selves. And I don't really get too hung up about where they live as far as that goes. If you're in the school district, I think it makes sense to be able to have a little bit of autonomy over that. But I also understand that it's a slippery slope and a delicate balance to be in the Wild West and the transfer portal and all that jazz. So I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic, but I do like you said, I love having two teams that are not only like you said, there are years where Hilton Head and Bluffton were on the same level competitively, but that wasn't when that was the case. They usually weren't both on a very high level. But at this point, they are both, all three playing at a pretty high level and turning some heads. And then you got Beaufort, who is laying in the weeds at 0-4, but nobody really believes they're a 0-4 team. So here's a question from a random Islander. How do you think Hilton Head will perform this Friday against Hampton County? And before we answer that, some news from the star for Hampton County, Agent Zero, Jalen Singletary. I haven't seen him officially posted on Twitter yet, but I saw on his mama's Facebook that Wake Forest offered today. So first of what will surely become many for Jalen Singletary, who is terrific. Two touchdown rushes and 149 yards and 2 pick six to the house. So that man was visiting the crib often.
A line like that.
It was nuts. But how do you think Hilton Head will perform Friday against Hampton County as a fellow random Islander, Wes?
I am optimistic to see what Hilton Head can do. This is obviously the biggest game that they have had so far in this young season. We're not into region play yet, but so far Hilton Head, I think, has looked better than I expected through the first couple of games. Now, they've taken care of the teams that I thought they would beat, and they beat them in terms of a couple more style points that I thought we would see. I think the biggest takeaway with me has been the competitiveness and the success so far of the defense. And I think the defensive core has improved this year. I think Payne's gotten a lot out of that unit on that side of the ball, and we see it paying dividends early. And the way they've been playing and that hard-nosed mentality, they gave up just 8 against Hardyville. They shut out Salt Aiken. They gave up just 24 to James Island. So you look at how and that James Island game, as you mentioned, Hilton Head scores early, maybe the defense rises up to another level, or they don't allow me. So
the
defense,
right.
The
8 against Hardyville was like the third string defense late, so that they could have pitched shutout if they really wanted to there. And like you said, the 24 against James Island, man, I put a lot of that on the offense just because they didn't move the ball. They didn't give them field position. They just didn't really give them field position. They didn't really give them a chance to. They kept them on the field too much, So, but that was with the backup quarterback first start. So, they looked the part to me. I mean, they play fast. They play good assignment football. They know what they're doing. They got a lot of dudes. They're going to miss Connor Wendell, and I think he may be done. He did his knee, I think. So they're going to miss him badly because he was a big leader on defense. But they have Simmons, but they have Tristan Simmons, who they lost last season, and he's the same kind of guy. So they're pretty solid. I think they may be a little susceptible to the pass. Teams that can keep them honest may give them some trouble. I think Bluffton's a tough matchup for them, but we'll see. I think May River is actually a pretty good matchup for them because of the way they play downhill in the box. But with that said, I think May River is holding back some. I think we're going to see Tanner Macy start to pull it more and either run it or throw it more on RPOs than they are right now once they get to region play. So, but to get it back around to Hampton and Hilton Head, I think it's a great matchup. I think Hilton Head has a real great chance to stay in this game long enough that they get to the point where the depth becomes a factor and they can kind of wear Hampton down. But I also think Hampton has the defensive coordinator and the dudes on that side of the ball to recognize something and jump it and change the game in a flash and kind of deliver a knockout punch. So I think if Hilton Head's still in it going to the fourth quarter, I like them. If they can stay in the fight long enough, I like them late.
You can't. You just can't afford the mistakes if you're Hilton Head. You can't
none
series get to you in terms of a turnover or just bad field. And you have to be able to at least get some chunks of yards and make Hampton earn it in terms of the offensive side of things. But I think what Hampton presents, and we saw it a little on Friday, is that Chris Terry can still throw it, and they can still get some things done in the passing game. Bo Vane is a stud. He's got some wicked speed, and that's the difference maker when you can have that guy help ignite the passing game. I wonder.
I believe Tyler Davis, he says don't throw at Jalen. They should be okay. But I believe Tyler Davis has taken a couple to the crib this year. They got other dudes who can do it too. And Lil Dez will go get one too.
But the way they were able to score in a couple different ways and the way they moved the ball at will a lot of times in that Bluffton game, obviously they took advantage of some big plays from their defense early to get a couple of scores. But I was impressed by the way the offense showed out and put as many points on the board. And obviously the defense had a big say in that. But when Terry and company had opportunities, they cashed in for the most part. And so I like the way Hampton is trending, not just defensively, but the variety of what we can see on offense. And you talked about losing a cornerstone like Zion Dobson. You bring in a guy like Singletary who had a bit of opportunities in terms of the offense last year, but now taking over as that primary back. And then so many other dudes they can feed or lay off to. And just great creative play design, great play calling by the coordinators, by the head coach, Rob Hanna.
Chris Myers.
Yes, our guy. We love him. Did some great things at JP2 Yeoman's work before making his way to Hampton County to coach the Hurricanes. And through a year and a handful of games, this team has been a heck of a joy to cover.
Yeah.
We hyped them up all the way into that first year, but man, it has gone even better than advertised so far. And this is shaping up like a year where, it's very, very early. They are number one at this point to a well-deserved, but it's definitely, they're going to have to work for it once we get down. Even in this region, there will be some interesting matchups as we get into October and obviously no guarantee they're going to have to, and I think they will, they got to bring their game across the bridge over to the island. And as one time said, Category 5, hurricane warning.
Category 5. Better evacuate. I bet he's talking about it. If I see him between now and Friday, I'm going to tell him he's got to say, better evacuate the island. Hurricane coming. No, I think it's going to be a good fight. But I do think, I'll make my pick tomorrow. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
tomorrow night. Loco Pigskin preview.
We're still thinking about a little. Tomorrow, of course, we'll preview all of the Week 5 slate. All the games coming up this Friday night, which should be.
But hey, we've got a guest in the green room, so let's shout out some sponsors, and then we'll get her in here. The MVP sponsors of LowcoSports. We've got Homegrown Home Inspections, our official home inspector. They'll check out a home that you want to buy and make sure that you're making a great investment. Check on it every step of the way and make sure it's built right. If you're building a new home, that's Homegrown Home Inspections. We got Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, where it's not about dying, it's about living. They provide hospice care, free grief counseling, palliative care, all kinds of great services to our community. And we've got the USCB Center for Lowcountry Hospitality Tourism Education, rather. They took hospitality out there. Lowcountry Tourism Education with our friend Sarah Beachkowski, who's also Director of Football Operations for BJ Payne and Hilton Head High, doing all kinds. That woman works ridiculous hours, but she oversees the Island Ambassadors and Bluffton Ambassadors. I'm helping her out with Bluffton, with both, frankly. And we'd love to tell you more about the communities you live in. USCB Center for Lowcountry Tourism Education. And then our newest sponsor, we've got the Base Hit Life, our softball and baseball apparel partner, providing all kinds of cool designs at Base Hit Life. You can take your style to the next level and live the Base Hit Life. Live your best Base Hit Life. There you go. But our guest tonight, one of them at least, we're expecting two, but we've got one, and we'll be we've got two. We've got Elizabeth Mullen is joining us now, and I think we've got another one. If she there we go. There's our other guest, Sammy. You go by Sammy?
Yes.
Gotcha. Sammy and Elizabeth, welcome. We've watched your highlights a number of times already, but I've also got the Beaufort's Own highlights pulled up to roll through for people to watch while we talk with you. But great win last night against Hilton Head High, a game that I already shouted out earlier, but my goodness, your libero, Sarah Kate Halsey, was out of her mind last night. Have you guys ever seen anybody sacrificing their body like that?
No, she was insane last night. She was definitely feeling it today, but she played great.
We'll let people see a little bit of what we're talking about. And there she is right off the rip, just diving on the floor.
Talking about just
a
stealing
highly
some points
competitive
away
match.
by her play. I mean, man, just all out effort to pick up some points, some well-earned points for this Bluffton High squad, and some crucial ones throughout this match.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are off to a red hot start. Tell us about your season so far and how this team has gelled together and come together.
Yeah, I mean, we're tied for first in region. We beat Beaufort last week, Hilton Head yesterday, and hoping to beat Colleton tomorrow. We have 6 seniors, and a lot of us play travel together, so I think that's kind of helped with like the gelling. We're all pretty comfortable with each other. But I feel like the one thing that our team has that we've missed in past years is just like our love for each other as like teammates. Like we play for each other, and I think it's very evident in the way that we play and the way that we just like how Katie puts her body on the floor for everything. I think that's a great example of how we play for each other on the team.
Yeah, that passion as a team and being able to know each other well and play for each other in a way like that that's everything. But I was able to come over to the Den last night, and a heck of a match. You guys took it in 4 competitive sets over Hilton Island, and talk to me about how you guys executed throughout and how you bounced back from a tough third set to get it done in the 4th to close it out.
Yeah, I mean, Sammy's welcome to add to this too, but I think it was just focusing on our goal and focusing on us as a team, playing teammates across the net, like girls we play club with in a school that's right down the road. Sometimes it gets hard to focus on your side and you focus on who you're playing, but I think we really just like fine-tuned the focus that we had. We kind of lost that. We let our discipline slip that third set, but we were able to find that again 4th set and just put the ball down.
Yeah. I feel like we're really just coming up as a team, just like executing and just like having our moments,
Yeah.
We've got a question.
Yeah.
We've got a question from Javon. Elizabeth, are you related to the Mullins over in Beaufort?
No, I'm not. I get that
No
a lot.
relation. Okay,
No
no relation.
relation.
All right. Well, no, did you guys you get a new coach this season, or was that last season?
Last season was our first season with
Last
her.
season was when Whitney came in, Whitney
Yes.
Armistead. Yeah, and it seems like in a short time you guys have kind of she's pumped some energy into the program. You mentioned club ball. You guys play for which club do you play for?
I play for Lowcountry,
Okay. And
and
several of
Sammy
your
plays for Club
seniors.
Staff.
Okay.
Yes.
And several of you have played together at Lowcountry for a while now. So
Yes.
that definitely lends to the chemistry and to the thing that you mentioned, which I think is the
Okay.
secret sauce for any team, the playing for each other. When it becomes not about you, but about the team, that's when the magic happens, right? It sounds like you guys have kind of turned that corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything to add to that, Sammy?
I just feel like we're really like close to each other. That like really helps. Like, we don't play like individually, we play as a team, and that really helps us like, just become like really good at what we are.
Elizabeth,
Yeah, and you
talk
get to
about this group of seniors and what they have done to set an example and set the tone for the rest of this team, and how important it is to lead by example and show the way forward for the underclassmen in this group as you go deeper into region play. So just tell me a little
yeah,
about
I
this
think
group of seniors and what they've done for this program.
I think for all of us, we've just really been like there for all of the younger girls, there for all of the older girls. Like last year, it was playing for our seniors, and then this year it's playing for each other, but also just building that energy. We have a couple of girls that just bring amazing energy to the court, and they're just so excited to be on the court, even if they're like having a bad day. As soon as they're on the court, they flip a switch, and it's just like totally different person. Like even like them as a classmate is different than them on the court. And so I think just being able to like have like good energy is the best way to lead. And then even when they're off, being able to bring each other up. So if someone's having a bad day, we're able to focus on the good of somebody else. I mean, Sammy can add on to kind of what she sees, but I think that's kind of
Yeah.
like how we've really tried to do that is just through our energy and through our motivation.
Yes.
Sammy,
Yeah,
you're the next generation, right? You're just a freshman.
oh, they were hyping her up
So
last night.
Sammy Vivas. You have a great
Yes,
name too, Sammy Vivas.
Vivas.
But talk a little bit more about from your perspective as the freshman who's contributing in a big way, surrounded by these seniors, and you can see just from the way Elizabeth talks, you've got some leadership in that senior class. So just talk about from your perspective what it's like to be surrounded by these girls who are playing at the level you want to play at and have been doing it for a while and kind of blaze the trail before you.
Oh yeah, I'm really lucky. Like I'm really proud of like everything I've done, and I'm really lucky that I get to like play with like people that can like tell me and like from their experience and stuff. Um, yeah, I just feel like it's not like at the beginning I was like really like scared and like it was something different for me, but I feel so comfortable now, and they have to help me a lot to like not be like to not be afraid or like just go with the flow basically. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel really like confident now
Yeah.
from like the
And
beginning.
certainly,
Little success
certainly
goes
it
a
was
long way.
shown. It
Yeah.
was shown last night on the court. You were in the zone. Tell me more, Sammy, about how you performed out there with your team last night, picking up some important kills early and often in this match.
What? Excuse me? I couldn't hear.
I'm sorry. Yeah, tell me about your performance. You were tremendous
Oh
early
yeah.
on, picking up some important kills. Talk to you about how we played and how exciting it's been, fitting into this lineup at
Oh
a
yeah.
young part of the time of your career.
Oh yeah. It's really exciting for me. I really like just I don't know. I really just like what's it called? I just like I don't know what to say, but like I don't like I really I'm just there and play. Like I don't like I
Yeah,
really don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know?
Gotcha.
Fitting in
Gotcha.
well
I don't know how to
and
explain that. But
playing like
No worries.
playing like someone who has been there a while, which is
oh yeah.
that's a big
Yeah.
compliment because you were when your teammates were feeding you balls to hit to the other side and knock them down and pick up some important points for your team. You got the job done.
Yeah.
So really
Yeah.
impressed from what we're seeing from you,
Not to
Sammy.
put words in
With
your
the,
mouth, but I sense what you're kind of getting at, Sammy, is that like
yeah,
at this point you're just in the zone. You're just
Yeah,
playing
I'm just
yeah.
volleyball.
there. I don't
Like
know how to
at
explain
first
it.
it was,
You're
oh
having
God,
fun.
I'm playing varsity volleyball, but now you're just like, oh, I'm just playing volleyball.
Nerves are
It's
gone.
just
Yeah.
volleyball.
Yeah.
You've played at a high level in club. You haven't played anything that looks any more like volleyball than this. I mean, like this is it. So is that kind of what you were getting at? That now it's just the nerves are
Yeah,
gone and you're just
yeah.
settled
I
in
feel
now?
like my
Okay.
confidence has gone like way better from
Yeah.
like the beginning, and Alyssa has helped me a lot. Like when I'm having a bad day, I just she just
Yeah.
knows like she just knows what to say, and it's like perfect
Yeah.
because she just hypes me up all the time, and it always
She
works.
gasses you up. Yeah, I can
Yeah,
sense that,
You
Alyssa. You
you
take on that
she's
responsibility, right?
so
You're the
good
hype
at
man,
that.
the
yeah.
hype
A
woman.
little bit.
You
She's so
mentioned
good at
kind of
that.
going off of that. You mentioned the culture earlier about this team and the playing for each other factor. Just talk about the family vibes and the atmosphere of during practices, during matches, of you guys getting excited. When you win a big point or when you have that big rally throughout a match, or just in practice when you're getting better as a team. So tell me about that family atmosphere and playing for each other and the excitement and the love of playing as a team and finding the success, well-earned success as a team.
I think something big that Coach Whitney brought to us last year was a culture board. And so we just write like the goals that we have for our team culture. And one thing that we wrote on there was actually friendship. Like even if that's just being friends on the court. And I think that's a big part of just how we play and how we like respect each other during practice. And we also do like there's this one drill that we do every single week and it just like really focuses on like the fundamentals and the basics, but every time we get like a good point, we just freak out. Like and we just want to get as much energy as possible at practice, or we just do something as simple as speedball, but every time somebody does something good, we're just freaking out. And I think we try to bring that to our games too. Like we always try to tell each other even if they're the ones making a mistake, that's still a point for us, and like that's something
Yeah.
we should like get excited about. So just like
Yeah.
focusing on like getting excited about the little things.
Yeah.
Celebrate success. It's fun to
Mhm.
win, have
Yes.
fun
Yeah.
when you're winning.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with that completely. The vibes carry
I
over.
believe,
Max Arraj
I
has
believe Javon.
slid in the back door and joined us, and he's been lurking here. Max, you got any questions
Yeah,
for Alyssa Mullen? Alyssa Mullen, is that what they
Yes,
call
yeah.
you Alyssa? Alyssa and Sammy?
yeah. Talk with me about how you guys work on communication when you're on the court and how
That's great.
important that is for success as a team.
I think communication is just like I think that's something we always talk about. Like after every single point, we're like, okay, like this is where we could have talked like more. Or like for me as a setter, like I'm always telling my hitters, I'm like, if you want to hit, like just let me know because I want to hear you and I want to be able to give you the ball. So I think that's
Yeah.
part of it. And then even getting our bench like communicating with us and talking to us as well.
Okay, you're
Active
the setter.
communication.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of
Right.
sense now. You've got to
Uh,
be that vocal leader. You've got to be the hype man because you got to stay up. You got to go to the next play no matter what and go find that
Yeah.
ball. You did a terrific job last night too. Then now that I know you're the setter, because Katie was
Yeah.
getting everything up, but some of them she had to make some spectacular digs. And you had to go find the ball in some crazy places and get it back into play. So credit to you. Javon
Thank
also
you.
had another question. Javon from Beaufort's Own. He's been airing some of your games, which I know you guys appreciate it as much as we do.
Mhm.
He wanted to know about that semifinal game against Philip Simmons at Whale Branch because he texted me that day and said, man, you got to check out this game. It is fire. Tell us about that matchup, and even though you came up short in that one, how much did that kind of propel you guys into this start you've been on in region play?
I think we wanted that win so bad. Like,
Yeah.
we played them earlier that day and we lost two sets, but they were really tight. And we're like, we want to play them in gold again. And I think we won that second set. We went to 3, and like talking to all of our parents and even talking to each other, like that was the best we had played as a team.
Yeah.
And just everything was on. And like, I don't want to speak for Sammy, and you can add on to this, but I feel like that's where her confidence grew a lot. And like, I can keep up with these good teams. So it's definitely a confidence boost. I don't know if you have something to say, Sammy, but
Yeah, I feel like that was one of the best games we've ever played. And I feel like our energy was really, really, really good. And that basically helped us just like keep moving on. And even if we made a mistake, we would still like cheer and like we got the next one, and we just got the next one. And that helps us a lot. But yeah, I feel like that was a really, really good game. And yeah, we communicated really good.
yeah, for
I
sure.
I think the one team, obviously May River is one you have circled on your calendar, because you had some incredible an incredible matchup with them earlier this year. But then the other team is Bishop England, and they're new to the region, but they're a kind of traditional powerhouse. So I know you guys are looking forward to getting your first shot at those two teams next week.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited.
Yeah.
You
Should
probably
be
have teammates on May River, right?
Yes, yeah. Like half my teammates.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
I know
fun.
you're looking forward to that.
But yeah, you guys brought the energy, and the crowd brought the energy as well last night.
Mhm.
Talk about your classmates, your fans, and parents who all came out to support the Bobcats last night at the Den. Fantastic atmosphere at home in a region match. So, how hyped was the crowd, and how fun was it to play in front of them last night?
Well, I think that's something we've really been focusing on for all sports at Bluffton High this year is just building the student section, especially with a new principal, like trying to create that atmosphere and just being able to play with that, like just knowing that there are people behind you supporting, like that feeling, like I feel like there's nothing that really compares
Yeah.
to that. Like a loud crowd's a loud crowd.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the
Yeah.
best. And the
Especially
students.
volleyball, because it's
Oh
just one of those
man.
sports where the crowd gets electric, especially after a big point, like a key
Yes.
block
Yeah.
or something
Well, and
like
you certainly feed off it, right?
yeah,
Like, I mean, when
yeah,
the crowd is loud and hyped, like you go to another place. You go to that place that makes you dive on the floor and sacrifice
Yeah.
your body and
Hmm.
run like the wind to get to the ball that's outside the basketball lines, but you got to chase it down and get it back,
Yeah.
right? No, I love a hype volleyball crowd, and the students, that's one where the football team always gets out of practice right when the volleyball game's getting good, right? And they
Hmm.
come out and they pack the stands and they get rowdy and push the envelope, get a little borderline inappropriate, and that's when it really gets hype. But so I know it'll be hype for that Bluffton May River game. But what are you guys looking forward to the most about this season, and kind of, what's the ceiling for this team? Can we look at you guys making a deep run in the playoffs?
I mean, we're hoping so. We haven't been to
Yeah.
playoffs this is my 4th year, so all 3 of my other years, we haven't been to playoffs yet. But we're really hoping to get there this year. Our goals region champs, we'll see. I mean, we've played May River, but they'll be a different team when we play them next week for sure. We've
Yeah.
seen film on Bishop England, but you never really know a team till you play them. But I guess that's the goal for everybody, but that's definitely our goal
Yeah.
this year for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
it's
talk
very
about
much
how
in
you've
front of you.
been improved in the span of 1 year, and what Coach Whitney has done to continue to elevate you guys. And for you, especially as a senior,
Hmm.
Elizabeth, just go through this past year and heading into this year, and just talk about the improvements as a whole of what your team has done, and what Coach Whitney has done to help elevate this entire group.
Definitely the biggest thing is culture. just the discipline and the culture that we have as a team. Like every day that we come into practice, we're focused and we're motivated and we're wanting to be there. And so I think that's the biggest thing is just working hard at practice. Like that sounds like a cliche, but that
Yep.
pays off. And
Yep.
you can really see it in the way that we play and just working together as a team. And again, that energy at practice and just getting like super excited at practice, like that translates into games and your energy. So that would be the biggest thing. And then all of the pieces just coming together. I think everyone has the same motivation. It's hard when you play on a team and not everybody has the same goals, but this year we are all determined to go far in playoffs or go far this season.
Yeah.
Hey, you're saying all the right things, and they're cliches for a reason because they're not cliches. Actually, they're universal truths.
Right.
Yeah.
You play the way you practice. The whole purpose of practice is to train yourself to do it the way you want to do it in the game every single time, so that when you get a chance to do it in the game, you do it the way you want to do it. So if you're not doing it the right way in practice, you're not going to do it the right way in the game. And like you said, if you're not playing for each other, if you're not putting the team first, then you're not going to play in the manner that best benefits the team. So you're saying all the right things, Alyssa. If you don't go on, and you'll probably go on and do much greater things with your life, but if you don't, you're going to be a great coach someday. I love to listen to you talk about the game, and you've got a great leader, Sammy. You got a great leader. Javon said that he used to be one of those hype men from the football team in high school at Battery Creek, and that they had a powder puff boys volleyball game back then. Of course, now we have boys volleyball, and it is picking up steam. The crowds seem to be picking up. The teams are definitely up in their game. And the boys at Bluffton, I believe, are undefeated, right?
They're
Tell us about those
undefeated.
guys.
Yeah, I think they're number 1 in 4A right now in the state too. I think another thing about our program is like we're a program. All 3 of our teams, our girls JV, our girls varsity, and our boys varsity, we all have like the similar culture. And we have parts of practice that are together and obviously parts that are separate.
Love that.
But they all have that hunger and that drive to win too. And it's so fun because some of them like have never played volleyball before. And it's just so cool to like watch their like young like joy and passion for the game and like watch them develop. And then there's some players that are older and then they're like swinging so hard. It's fun to watch them too.
You probably
Yeah.
get to kind of coach them, right? Because they're like, hey, will you teach me how to do this better? I'm no good at this. So that's cool. But who are some of the stars on that team? Shout them out.
I would say Ben Vaught and John
Yeah.
Gonzalez probably.
Uh,
Yeah.
I had a feeling when I saw Ben Vought's name on there, I was like, well, his dad's Parkway Jesus. I bet he's probably pretty good at volleyball.
Yeah. No, yeah. He's super consistent and John and Omar, they can just put the ball on the ground. So
How's my guy Gabe Fulton doing? I see him
he's
on the
doing
roster.
well too. Yeah. I think he's the starting setter, so I feel like he's just a
Alright.
good rock for the team and just keeping them steady and helping them get to the wins that they're trying to get to. So
Well, he's rock solid on the wrestling mat, so I would imagine he's rock solid on the volleyball court too. But ladies, thanks so much for joining us. Really enjoyed talking with you and shining a light on the Bluffton volleyball program and all the good things happening with the Bobcats. Matt Hall is my guy from way back. We coached some 3v3 soccer with 4-year-olds or something
my
back in the
goodness.
day together. So his daughter's Kennedy, is that right?
I think so, yeah.
He's got a Kennedy. So I've got a Truman. Kennedy and Truman, both with presidential names, played 3v3 soccer together many, many years ago. So I'm excited about Matt being over there and everything that's going on at Bluffton. So thanks for joining us, ladies, and have a great night and good luck the rest of the way. Hopefully we'll talk to you down the road.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun.
We did.
We did.
All right. We'll talk to you real
Bye.
soon. Thanks a lot. Alyssa Mullen and Sammy Vivas. Great to talk with them tonight. I love talking to the student athletes, man. That's my favorite part. Just getting to, get a little personality out of them, get to know them a little bit.
For a while.
Hey man, I'm just glad you didn't mention the Beavis and Butthead thing you said last night.
I know, Vivas. Well, now that I know it's Vivas, it's even cooler. Sammy Vivas. Great name. I'm sure she knows about it.
That's of course like the Spanish The Spanish word. Yeah.
I thought you said Beavis, man. That's
No,
what I
I
heard.
said Vivas with a V.
Vivas.
Viva Las
My
Vegas.
my hearing's not what it used to be, you know. My hearing is going fast.
And yet you're the only one who's
Vision
wearing
went
headphones.
first. Vision went first. Hearing's going next.
Yeah,
but,
it's great, especially when you're the only one wearing headphones on this show right now.
yeah. Well, I need them so I can hear. What are you gonna do? We need to shout out some sponsors. We've got the varsity sponsors of LowcoSports, DDS Web Design, building, hosting, maintaining websites for businesses and nonprofits to get results. DDSHHI.com. Parker Law Group, serving legal needs across Colleton, Hampton, and Jasper counties. And they are helping us shine a light on teams and student athletes out there in the rural loco. And we love them. I love Parker Law Group. Dr. Ambrose Cole, our official chiropractor. He's at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right, mind, body, and spirit. And Reverence Wrestling Club, official wrestling sponsor of LowcoSports and the presenting sponsor of the Loco Grind. Sorry, Javon just got me in the comments. You can take your skills on the mat to the next level at Reverence Wrestling Club. You just hit me with TP for my bunghole. Oh, give me a TP for my bunghole. The other day at school, a kid said, a teacher jokingly said to a student, "Are you threatening me?" And I said, "Are you threatening me?" Cornholio. I don't think the kids know who Cornholio is, but it's
Probably
unfortunate. Not. I am the great Cornholio. Give me TP for my bunghole. Great stuff. I still love Beavis and Butthead. I'm not gonna lie. I watched the new ones. It's got a place in my heart. I remember the first time I saw Beavis and Butthead. I know where I was. Same place I was. It was the same night Tupac died. I was in a hotel in Augusta, Kansas for a wrestling tournament. Yeah.
Wow.
Also got real sick on a dip of Skull that night. First time I dipped Skull, got real sick. Real sick. Dang. Don't do that stuff. Bad stuff.
Yeah, no.
That was a wrestling trip. What happens on the wrestling trip stays on the wrestling trip for 30 years, and then you tell the whole world on YouTube. But hey, boys, what else you want to talk about for a minute? Max, how you doing? Welcome back.
I'm doing good. I wanted to. I don't know if you guys have already mentioned. I wasn't able to watch the beginning of the show, but I saw that Agent Zero has gotten an offer from a D1 program.
We did.
What a great opportunity from Wake Forest, man. Great opportunity for Jalen Singletary. Dude deserves it, man. He's an absolute beast, and I'm so happy that I'm so happy that he got an offer like that, and hopefully there are much more to come as the season continues. And we'll definitely be keeping an eye on him, as he's by far one of the best running backs here in the Loco.
Yeah, not just that, but he can bring it on defense as well.
Right. I think he's probably being recruited more as a DB than a running back at this point. But
which wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
I think he's good enough that if he says, "Nah, I want to play running back," there'll still be people who are like, "Okay, come on."
Yeah. I mean, he's a fantastic player on both ends of the ball. So either way, I mean, I know he's gonna get those offers one way or another.
Well, there's going to be more. Like if an ACC program offers, when your first D1 offers from an ACC program, there's going to be more.
Yeah.
I figure there's probably several more ACCs and maybe some other Power Fives, within a fairly short span, because people will go, hold up, wait, why'd they offer this guy? And go look at him and go, oh, that's why. There'll be some copycats. And then if that doesn't happen, then there'll be a flood of FBS guys schools that are like, oh, hey, if by chance you don't like Wake Forest or the academics aren't right for you or whatever, we'd love to have you here. And so
there'll be a ton of Group of 5 schools that
you don't get one from Wake Forest and then no more, is what I'm saying.
That's not how it works most of the time.
For sure.
They're coming.
100%.
They're coming.
They're going to come, and I'm excited to see what offers he ends up getting as the year continues, because that dude's special. He's a special athlete.
But let's give an assist to Zion Dobson and Kayvon Chisholm and DeMonte Mathis and all the guys that made people go, "Whoa, what's going on in Hampton County?"
Yeah,
we may want to look a little closer down there.
I mean, those players continue to pave. That's the best thing. These players pave a way for the next generation to be even more successful. I think that's great.
Richard,
I mean,
exactly.
Catman Jr., man. I mean, he's the next man up, for Hampton County, and I can't wait to
original
see what
Catman.
The original one.
Catman Seniors at Carolina. We may see him at some point.
He had a great year, but what sticks out to me was when we get the Blitzburger Bowl. He was in that game, and he ran wild over everybody, a bunch of talented Georgia guys.
Absolute animal in that game. That man's a man. But no, Hampton, what's happening in Hampton right now reminds me of what happened at Whale Branch, where, a couple of guys broke through and then it was like, oh, we better look what's happening down there. And when somebody popped up, you were like, oh, he's from the place those guys are from. And so now I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think Hampton is very much on the radar now. And for as long as Rob Hanna's there, they're going to stay on the radar because they ain't running out of dudes out there. I'll tell you that right now.
No, absolutely not.
And they're bought in right now. But good talk. So now we can start to wrap this thing up. The Loco Booster Club supports us, so please support them if you have need. The Court Lifestyle Pros, Daniel and Debbie Court, are with Charter One Realty, and they want to bring you home to Hilton Head Island. Eagle Creations has promotional items, custom apparel, and custom gift baskets, plus much more. You can stop by their showroom on Argent Boulevard. Jay's Barbershop will get your hair looking right, and they'll get you full of all the latest gossip. They'll clock the tea at Jay's Barbershop while getting you right. You'll come out looking stylish in downtown Ridgeland. And Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. Get your floors so clean your feet will thank you. Chris Odom is the dude when it comes to the floors. Hudson Seafood House on the docks. I've been talking about them a lot tonight because I ran point on Under the Bus earlier tonight. They're a presenting sponsor of Under the Bus and a great place for seafood, cocktails, sunsets, probably a moonlight cocktail to the last couple of nights under that beautiful moon. It's been nice out there. And Hurricane Sports Cafe, if you're in Hampton, that's a great place to grab a bite to eat or something to drink and maybe stay a while, hang out. I think they got Hannah over there answering calls and questions on Monday or Tuesday nights, some kind of Carolina calls type deal with Coach Hannah. That's how hyped they are about football in Hampton County.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They love them some football. But that's our Loco Booster Club. Thanks for the support. Any parting thoughts, gentlemen?
You got one? Thanks.
Oh, you don't have any? Okay.
He's deferring to the second half. He's deferring to the second half.
Deferring the second half, man. I have one thing to talk about. Bryce Young got benched this week, and
yeah, he did.
Andy Dalton will now be the starting quarterback for, I guess, the foreseeable future, unless they think that Bryce Young's ready to get back on the high horse and get going. And if that's not the case, I wonder what's the next step for Bryce Young. Like, is he ever going to get that chance of being a starting quarterback again?
I heard today some news about I guess there are people were thinking that Carolina was interested in trading Bryce Young, but they shot that
to
down.
Miami.
Rumors, yeah. That'd be interesting, though. It's kind of funny to think about because you look at
actually
Sam Darnold, who's having tremendous success so far, the Vikings, and Baker Mayfield, who is once again,
and they cut bait on them both too early.
So maybe he. I don't blame him if he thinks that. Hey, I went out. I want to change the scenery, and hey, it's happened for other teams as well. I remember the
I would like to play for a team with an offensive line, please.
There have been teams that have just tanked careers. So it's in other sports as well, but especially football. There are some teams that just things have gone stagnated, and it has derailed some careers. So it's certainly something. It's tough.
I think if they're gonna bench him long term, I think they should trade him. I really do.
Yeah.
I think that he could fit somewhere else. And if Tua retires, I think Miami's got to make a run at him. Although, speaking of Javon Stillers, Curry Kirkpatrick brought it up tonight on Under the Bus, but Russell Wilson would be an interesting fit in Miami too, because I don't think the Steelers are going to use him.
Well,
they got him for a song. Well, he's better than Skylar Thompson, though, right?
Well, yeah, I would think so.
Right.
I mean, I think if you put Russell Wilson with,
I mean, he can still throw it up and let Tyreek go get it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Carolina fouled it up every single kind of way.
I mean, you just look at the revolving door. I mean, Bridgewater as well throughout that this 10-year under. I mean, it all stems back to Tepper, in my opinion. You look at where they were going before he took over. They were 6-2 in 2018, and ever since then, it was right around when Tepper took over as the owner. Everything has gone the other way, and obviously there are factors that play into the success or lack thereof of a team, but you just see a pattern here, and it stems back with the leadership of the organization and the front office.
He's a loser.
And
I would wonder.
There have been some character concerns off the. Just
you know what? I think there should be like recall elections on franchise ownership, where like the metropolitan area, or at least like the season ticket holders or something, should be able to have a recall election and force them to sell.
I think we would know what the answer to that would be, but it's the same. Like it would be the same thing.
If they can hold us hostage for taxpayer money for stadiums, then we can hold them hostage for better ownership.
Hey, you can make that same case for the Oakland A's. I mean, you can make that same exact case for the Oakland A's.
Yep.
I know.
Let me just say this. I wonder, the question I have is, with everything Carolina gave away to get Bryce Young, and they gave away quite a few things for Bryce Young, you wonder, compared to Jamarcus Russell, which pick is worse?
There will be a conversation. Obviously, recency bias is always apparent with news like this, and
I don't know. I mean, the story's not written yet. Like you
obviously,
said, I mean, he's literally one season and 2 games into his NFL career.
And the worst part is he looks less confident this year than he did last year.
But I think that's a product of the offensive line.
There's a mental part of it.
That offensive line is atrocious.
He doesn't trust his offensive line. He doesn't really have any receivers he can trust either. Like, it would be a fun experiment. It would be a fun experiment to swap him and
latter half of their careers.
I'd like to swap him and Kyler Murray and see what happened. Because they're like kind of the same dude. Could he look like Kyler in that offense? And would Kyler look like him behind that offensive line? Very possible.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I'm trying to think of the weapons Arizona has. I know they have Marvin Harrison Jr. He went off on Sunday.
They have James Conner who can pound it down your throat. They've got a scheme that suits him, that's built around him, and Carolina really does.
No, there's no identity in Carolina right now, and it's been that way through the last half dozen, or at least the last 5 or so years. And it's just been...
I mean, the only receiver you can somewhat trust is an aging Adam Thielen. Other than that, I don't know if you can.
Deontay Johnson has never been that guy. He has had issues with catching the ball throughout this. When he was in Pittsburgh, he had some time.
Bingo.
He was not reliable in just making catches downfield. That was
Jamarcus was also like always in trouble with the law, right? Like Bryce Young's an upstanding citizen for all we know. So Jamarcus was a way bigger swing.
Yeah, you feel for Bryce Young more than you do Jamarcus. Bryce Young,
but Ryan Leaf was the worst, right? Because you passed on Manning for him.
Right,
didn't that happen?
That's true.
Right.
That's
so I
true.
guess based on like who the cost of who you could have picked, that may have been.
Yeah, I know.
Todd Marinovich was pretty bad.
Think about this. They could have drafted C.J. Stroud. They could have drafted C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young, honestly. It was the same draft. You could have done that, and look what C.J. Stroud is doing in Houston.
That's a fact.
Yep.
Yeah, he's pretty impressive.
They were confident on
but it's all about landing spot, because Roethlisberger, if Roethlisberger had gone to any number of other teams, he would have like had spinal fusion surgery at 26 or something, like, but he went to the Steelers where he had an offensive line that he could just stand back there and stand up and sling it and play the kind of football that suited him, and he was able to really succeed. And I also think Brady I think Brady really benefited from his situation as well. And if he had been in a different environment to start his career, I don't know that he becomes the player he was.
Belichick was important.
The thing is, Brady learned from Drew Bledsoe. It was a very good quarterback.
He took over.
I think some of the best quarterbacks. Yeah, but I mean, some of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. Guess what they did to start off their seasons and start off their careers? They sat behind quarterbacks for a couple seasons.
Mahomes,
Favre, Rodgers, Love.
Yeah.
Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith.
Can I just say, look who's doing it? Sure. Can I just say, look who's doing it right now out of all the quarterbacks from this past draft? Michael Penix Jr. is the only quarterback from the past year's draft, from the first round, that's sitting right now behind a veteran quarterback and learning from him.
I think it's smart.
It's genius. It's a smart move.
Here's the thing. The adjustment from the college game to the pro game is tremendous from the speed of the game aspect, and in no position more so than a quarterback. So honestly, to be able to absorb the full speed game from the sidelines with the coach next to you in your ear, hearing the coach and the quarterback communicate, I just think it's invaluable. And I think it's insane that we've gotten away from that being the norm.
I honestly think
J.J. McCarthy
that would have helped.
What he gets to do now. He's obviously out for the year, but he gets under. Sam Darnold's been performing pretty well early on, but sometimes that can
he's in a good situation.
Yeah. But how about you wouldn't believe this? How about some positive Carolina Panthers news? There actually is some positive Carolina Panthers. Yes, there is. Because the National Football League released the first-time nominees for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025.
I did see that.
Eli Manning, Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri, and Luke Kuechly, who probably are best players in franchise history. So
one of your favorites, right?
Yes, probably one of the first.
Kuechly was amazing. I may be a Falcons fan, but Kuechly was one of my favorite players ever. In terms of me watching football growing up, he was one of my favorite players to watch. I will say this. I can only imagine how much better Bryce would have been if he was able to sit for a couple years behind possibly, Cam Newton when he returned to Carolina, or maybe Teddy Bridgewater, and learn from those guys. I wonder how much more it would have helped him.
To be fair, maybe that's the conversation they've had with him is, hey, we messed up. We threw you into the fire, and it was not a situation where you could be successful. But we got Andy Dalton sitting over here, and he's a good veteran guy, and we're going to give him the ropes for a little while. And,
and we've seen that work.
He's an old man, and he'll probably break one of his brittle bones at some point, and you'll get back in there. But if not, we'll let you grow, and we'll see how it goes again next year. Maybe maybe he asked for that even, like, hey man, like this ain't working. Can I stand on the sidelines for a minute and try to figure this out? We don't know. We don't know. But
that could be the right for him, but still with that offensive
we
line,
can't. I guess what I'm saying is we can't in one breath say the move is to sit the guy behind the veteran, and then in the other breath go, well, what are they doing benching him? They gave up so much for him. Maybe that's the way to salvage it, is to let him sit behind the veteran for a little while and learn the ropes, and then give it another shot. And if he's not comfortable with that, then you put him on the market and see if somebody else wants to go with him right now.
The same goes for like Zach Wilson. Like I think Zach Wilson could have been a decent quarterback in the NFL if he would have sat for a couple of years behind a veteran quarterback, and even Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers came over to the New York Jets, and I think Zach Wilson sitting behind Aaron Rodgers until he retired would have been a great move for him. I think that's like.
You don't always have that luxury. You don't always have the right
it's
setup.
unfortunate, but it's unfortunate because then you're basically being pulled in as a quarterback to a team that needs a quarterback of your caliber, and you're basically the savior of the team immediately the moment you step foot.
Well, it's the curse of
NFL facilities.
It's the curse of being a top 5 pick quarterback is that you go into a bad team, and bad teams, the quarterback gets beat up on bad teams. Like it's not a great situation. So I just think situation is everything. And that's why you see guys like Geno Smith, who was nobody. And then he got in the right situation and damn, he looks like an all-pro quarterback. Scheme matters. What you're surrounded with matters, and offensive line 100% matters.
I was so happy to see Geno Smith. Oh, yeah. I was so happy to see Geno Smith.
He had a rough career. I just remember bad memories when he torched Clemson in college in the Orange Bowl.
Oh, no, don't go there. Come on, man.
Yeah, he did.
Come on. I
did.
didn't want to bring that back.
They put up, how many they put up?
70?
70.
I think it was 70. 70 in the Orange Bowl, I think. I think it was the Orange Bowl.
I like the speed limit. I like the speed limit signs.
Very beginning of Dabo Sweeney's career at Clemson.
Exceeding the speed limit in Florida. Well, boys, I think we should probably call it a night. We said a lot of parting thoughts. Did you have another one, Wes?
No, mine was Mine was the one about the Hall of Fame.
Keekly was your parting thought.
That was mine.
I got you.
By the way,
I don't know that
we were always been hoping for our friend Kenny Anderson to eventually get that call to Canton one of these days.
Oh, I would love Kenny to get in, man.
That would be awesome. Here's a parting thought regarding Kenny Anderson. So our friend Curry Kirkpatrick, under the bus, is a friend to good friend, great friend to Tony Kornheiser, who is one of my idols. I've got all of his books back here somewhere, of all his columns at the Washington Post. So Kenny Anderson got a shout out today on Kornheiser's show because Reginald the Monkey was making his picks. If you don't listen to the Kornheiser show, this will sound like I'm completely insane. But each week they have Chuck Todd make his picks for the NFL picks. And they also get James Carville to call in and make his picks often, which is hilarious. And Jeff Moff from the Bet the Process podcast, which is great. But then they have Reginald the Monkey makes his picks. And ostensibly, Nigel, the intern, goes down to the National Zoo and interviews Reginald the Monkey about who he's betting on this week. And he weaves a narrative about it. And this week, he was on Cincinnati. And the way that he revealed this to Nigel was by showing him a picture of him playing Mahjong with Pedro Borbon, Kenny Anderson, and Icky Woods. So clearly he's got ties to Cincinnati. So there's my parting thought. Kenny Anderson got the shout out from Reginald the Monkey today. He's a big Mahjong guy.
Yeah. I'll say this about Kenny Anderson. He is the best quarterback to never have been put in the Hall of Fame. 100%. I mean, outside of Joe Burrow, he's the only other quarterback to take the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl.
Boomer Esiason.
Yeah,
Boomer
Esiason. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Boomer did. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
But Kenny, I think Kenny's a Hall of Famer for me, but I'm a big Hall guy.
100%. Yeah. I believe I've always believed Kenny is a Hall of Famer. Dude. Ever since I first met Kenny, I've always believed, reading about him and doing my research on him, I was like, dude, this guy was no joke. He was a best of the best at one point, and the fact that he never made the Hall of Fame still boggles my mind.
Well, he's a first ballot Hall of Fame human for sure.
Yeah, great guy. Does a ton of charitable work in the city of Cincinnati. and moved back there now, and just awesome individual.
I mean, he was also a quarterbacks coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers during their last Super Bowl run.
Yep.
You know, and I think for those reasons, I mean, he's got a Super Bowl ring. I mean, why not put him in the Hall of Fame? You know.
Right.
He also came back and played in the Freezer Bowl after knocking himself out cold by falling off the bench and face planting onto the frozen tundra.
Oh, man.
That's insane.
He told that story on here. But all right, well, let's bring it in for a landing, boys. Great show tonight. Really enjoyed talking with Alyssa Mullen and Sammy Vivas. They were terrific. Trent Dilfer, Super Bowl champ. Yeah, nah, we're not putting him in the hall. Point made. Nick Foles, Jake Delhomme got him to one.
Yeah, that's true.
But no,
he did.
Wins are not a quarterback statistic. Remember that.
Yeah, well.
They are not a quarterback statistic. But anyway, great show tonight. Enjoyed talking with Alyssa and Sammy. They were terrific. Bluffton volleyball, boys and girls, looking good. Going to have to get over to the Den and check out a match. Thanks to everybody who showed up to listen or watch, as well as our sponsors, especially Mickelson Law Firm, the OGs, and our All-Stars. We will be back tomorrow night. We'll do a little lowdown, a little update, and then we'll go Loco Pigskin preview, get you all set up for Friday night, make all our picks. We'll get Marcus Walsh in here to talk high school football in the Loco with us and see who else we can round up as well. So for Max Arraj and Wes Kerr, we'll be back tomorrow night. I'm Justin Jarrett. Till then, go Loco.
The LowcoSports Lowdown podcast is a production of Loco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing. Go Loco.